Hi everyone, right now I'm going to completely smash a plasticine Nissan Silvia on this board by pulling this string very quickly and sharply, after which the car will gain a lot of speed and crash right into this wooden block. Since it's made of plasticine, it will get damaged, and this small chip on the bumper proves it. Wow, that was awesome. Look what happened to it. The right side of the front is completely damaged. The bumper, headlight, fender and hood are all pushed in. There are a lot of cracks in the paint on the damaged parts as well as small dents. The collision wasn't as severe as it was with Lancer, but it was enough to cause this kind of damage to the car. The hood bent in a smooth, rounded shape. From above, you can clearly see how much the first collision damaged the front of the car. You can see how the fender is bent, but its deformation didn't go past the wheel. Let's take a look at the engine. I don't see any particularly serious damage, only that the radiator was pressed tightly against the engine. The fender came loose from the wheel arch itself, and only the front part is damaged. There are no other damages to the body. That was also an epic collision. Several engine parts flew off and the hood itself was catapulted. As it usually happens, it turned out nicely. The front part became flat, as if it was cut against a straight wall. The damage didn't go beyond the fenders, the rest of the body remained intact again. The wheel got a bit dented, but it stayed round and undamaged. The bumper shattered to pieces, it was just smashed and flattened, and the hood got bent even more, arching upward in the middle. On the other side, the wheel isn't jammed, the fender is only bent up to the wheel, and the damage didn't go any further. Now let's take a look at the engine, and here's what happened to it. After such a strong collision, you can immediately see how much it shifted under the dashboard and how the fenders bent. If the collision had been even stronger, the engine would have gone right into the car's cabin. Here's what it looks like now. After this damage, the underbody squeezed the engine guard, the dust cover and the wheels, and the engine was bent downward along with the transmission. This also looked quite spectacular. And let's see what kind of damage we got. The trunk bent only on the side of the collision, just as it should have. It turned out pretty realistic. We got a good imitation of a rear-end collision, and I think it came out quite well. The trunk, bumper and rear part of the fender are bent, and there are lots of scratches, cracks and dents. I think it turned out pretty realistic. What do you think? Be sure to write about it in the comments. From the side, we see the damage only affected the wheel, with no other damage to the body. Here we can see that even the modeling clay has split along the seam at the rear part of the roof pillar, just like when I was shaping this part. And here's how it looks from above. What stands out is this bend above the wheel. This is how the rear part got bent. On the underbody, the collision site looks like this. The wheel is jammed and has pushed the fuel tank closer to the differential. These are the kinds of damages that happen to the plasticine car. Damn, how did that even happen? That's just insane. That was incredibly epic. I drove the car so hard and fast that it broke the pencil. At this scale, that's an imitation of a pole. And you know what? It reminds me of how it was for academic, the same way. I never could have guessed that a clay car would break a pencil. Okay, if you launch a metal car, sure, it would break a pencil, but a clay one, it's soft, it bends, and yet it happened. Honestly, I'm really impressed, and for the first few seconds after the crash test, I couldn't figure out what had happened. I thought the pencil just flew off, but it actually broke. Now let's move on to inspecting the damage. Because of the speed, the car knocked off the pencil, and the most severe damage is at the bottom. The threshold is shattered. It was literally smeared along the underbody, since this is where the main impact occurred, and the pencil almost reached the middle of the underbody. And the left side of the car got seriously bent. Of course, in reality, the car would have been bent much more. At that speed, it would have just wrapped around the pole, and there wouldn't be any intact parts of the body left. But here, this plasticine model is too sturdy, and the damage to the body is only on one side. But the front part really took a hit. Many elements have already fallen off, and it's barely holding together. On this side, there's no damage, the body is just as it was. But the passenger door, of course, took the full impact. It bent all the way down to the passenger's feet. That's how the collision turned out. Now I want to try piercing the car with a pencil and see what happens. Things went wrong. The car slipped off the platform and crashed differently than I planned. Now that's how it should be. The pencil got so stuck in the car that you can't just pull it out. And what we get is just a hole in the door. The door itself didn't even bend at all. It just formed an opening. I thought it would turn out differently, but unfortunately, it is what it is. The car is completely wrecked and the front part is barely holding together. That's how the crash test of this Nissan Silvia S13 turned out. The most epic part was the collision with the pencil. Of course, it turned out to be a decent crash test, though definitely not the best, but it was still something worth seeing. If you liked this video, give it a like for my effort and such a sacrifice. In the form of this clay car, it was a beautiful model, but now it can only add to my collection of crashed clay cars from all the previous crash tests. Subscribe to the channel if you like my clay creations. Thank you for watching this video, and goodbye everyone.